I'm Joe Fagan, a project manager with Gateway Engineers, and I'm here to talk today about geotechnical engineering. As Ms. Michael said, I'm Joe Fagan. My son Brendan is a junior here, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself before we start talking about engineering. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from the University of Pittsburgh in 1982. Right after I graduated, I was hired by Engineering Mechanics Incorporated, a small geotechnical engineering firm in Robinson Township. While I was there, I worked and received my Master of Science degree in Civil Engineering in 1987, also from Pitt. And in 2007, EMI was acquired by Gateway. Today's presentation is an interactive presentation. I'm not just going to stand up here in front of you and talk all the time. I'm going to ask you questions. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can ask. I'm also going to leave some time at the end so you can ask me some questions then. So, anytime anybody asks a question or answers a question, I'm going to give you this handy-dandy Gateway tote bag. Okay? So, let's start with, what do engineers do? Question. Yes, sir.
They build structures.
Build structures, right. What else?
They fix things.
Fix things.
Solve problems.
Solve problems.
Design stuff.
Design stuff. All right answers. Solve problems is actually the answer that I have. That's the simple answer. But everybody that answered the question here, everybody's going to get a bag before we're all said and done today. So let's see who said it. You guys. All right. Yes. Engineers solve problems. There are 5 major branches of engineering, each of them with specific disciplines. Anybody want to take a guess on what one of the 5 major branches of engineering are?
Chemical engineering.
Chemical, yes. Mechanical, yes. Civil. Electrical.
I was going to say mechanical.
Mechanical, correct. Actually, you guys got 4 of the 5 right. The 5th one is industrial. Okay? I am a civil engineer by education, and there are several major branches of disciplines in geotechnical or in civil. Geotechnical is one. What other? Anybody have any idea of what other type of civil engineers there are?
Architectural.
No. Good try. I'll jump into this. There are structural engineers, environmental engineers, transportation engineers, hydraulic engineers, and hydrology engineers. Those are all within the branch of civil engineering. You're in high school now. What kind of classes do you think would be good to take if you're considering engineering as a possible career?
Calculus.
Calculus, math, yep. What's that? Yes, absolutely. Anything else? Yes.
Transportation.
Transportation, yep.
Science.
Science, yep. Yeah, oh yeah, you want to take as much math and science, and in this day and age you want to take any computer classes you can take. I know Bethel Park has a good program with a lot of introductory courses to engineering. So you're in high school, you're going through all your classes, and then you think you want to go to college. What factors do you think are going to impact what college you go to? Brains, absolutely. Your intelligence, your education. Grades? Brains, grades, same thing. Okay. Yes?
No, I was going to say grades.
Grades, yes.
Kind of did you took in high school?
Absolutely. Pardon me?
Scores,
SAT scores, that's right. What you guys consider, yes, go ahead. Majors, right. What you guys consider the grades and the SAT scores, what your parents want to consider is how much it costs to go. Okay? What you want to think about is, do you want to stay home or do you want to go away? Do you want to go to a public or a private college, or do you want to go to a large or a small school? I chose to be an engineer because I like math and science when I was in high school. Didn't know a whole lot about engineering. I applied to the University of Pittsburgh. They accepted me. I like going to Pitt because I was able to live at home and save a lot of money. That helped my family. Generally, when you go to an engineering school, your first year, they're just going to go over classes that deal with your introduction to the different branches in the general engineering classes. Your second year, you'll select a branch and you'll focus just on that branch. And then your third and fourth years, the classes are going to be in your specific discipline of that branch. All college really does when you get out, when you're done, graduate, it teaches you how to think and work on your own. I know a lot of you guys and girls, that's a good thing. There are more girls getting in engineering now than there has been in the past. It used to be a male-dominated, it still is a majority of males, but there are more females getting involved with that, and that's a good thing. After you graduate from college, you go to an interview. Interview has two objectives. The first is to sell the applicant to the potential employer, and the second is to sell that company to the potential employee. At Gateway, we actually have two interviews for each person. The person comes in first and meets with the technical people that they will be working with and pretty much tells them what they did, what they want to do, what they know, how they can help the company. If the people that do that interview feel that that person will be a good fit, then we have a second interview, and in that second interview, we actually sell the Gateway company to that person. Because what you want to do is you want to make sure that there's a good fit. Everybody's happy, because you may want a job, but you may not fit in well, or conversely, you may not want the job, but the company may think you can fit in well, and in either case, within 2 years, you're not going to be happy and you're going to be looking for another job. Let's see here. I'm sorry. What do you think companies are looking to find during an interview?
Someone who's outgoing.
Outgoing. AJ, you're definitely outgoing. What else? Okay, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to check your technical knowledge. They check your transcripts, see what classes you took, see what kind of grades you had specifically in the field of engineering that you're working in. What other things do you think they look for in a new potential employee? Can you communicate well? Are you willing to learn? What kind of extracurricular activities did you have? You may have been really good in school, but if all you did was study and you weren't on the debate team, you weren't on the football team, you weren't on other activities, that means you may have spent too much time focusing on your grades, which is good, but they're looking for a well-rounded person. They want to see if you're willing to learn, which means, are you willing to do any task? Are you able to do the most medial task? Can you help unload something that comes in, as opposed to just trying to be highly technical? You need good communication skills and able to work well with others. This means you listen well and you ask the right questions. New technology has been a deterrent in some aspects of people's development. I know everybody here has a phone, I'm sure, right? Texting goes on often. That's a whole new language. You get to older people, generation, 2 generations older than you, K is a letter, not yes, I understand what you're saying. So you have to learn to be able to communicate well. You also have to be self-motivated. One of the things we look for in our younger engineers is don't just do exactly what we tell you. If you don't know what to do, ask, look on a computer, find things. Do more than you're asked to do. A majority of the engineers, the young engineers we've hired in our office in the last 5 years, have come from Pitt, Penn State, or West Virginia and have lived in the area. I've interviewed many young people in the last 5 years, and just by going through the 1-hour interview, you try to get an idea of whether that person would be a good fit for your company. And a lot of times, just because the people we were interviewing, the person we interviewed, did not talk well, did not communicate well, they weren't offered a position. Everybody wants to know, how much does an engineer make? Starting engineers out of college are generally making between $45,000 and $50,000 a year right now. As you become more advanced in your careers, you could make up to $100,000 and more. What kind of advancement opportunities are there? In the engineering field, during your senior year, your college will talk to you about an engineering and training test. That's an 8-hour test you take. If you pass that test, then you have to get 5 years of related experience in engineering under a professional engineer, which I am, and At that time, you could take the professional engineering license or test. If you pass that, you get your license, which means you can sign reports, and it's recognized by the state as you being a competent engineer.
And you're able to do all of this with just a bachelor's degree at this point,
Yes.
correct? You do not need to be going for your extra 2-3 years into a master's.
That's correct.
This is a nice amount of money for 4 years out of
Sure.
college, with a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, some of the starting engineers at our company, some of them have already passed their engineering training test, others haven't taken it yet. It doesn't matter. That doesn't impact whether or not you get hired, but it does mean in 5 to 10 years how you advance. So if you get your professional engineering license, you're given more responsibility, and given more responsibility, then you're also paid more to do that. Also at Gateway, we have a project manager program. Basically, I am a project manager, and in the project manager program, you have to run a project from the very beginning to the very end. That means you meet with the client, you develop a proposal to do whatever work he wants, you follow through getting the work done, you may have to monitor the construction inspections, and you may have to make sure you get paid. All of those fall under the requirements and responsibilities of a professional or a project manager. A little bit about Gateway. Gateway has about 150 employees, including engineers, field crew, both inspection and survey, administrative personnel, and 28 project managers. Our office is set up in open cubicles so that we can talk back and forth to other engineers in our group, and this is also good for mentoring younger engineers. I mentioned that I'm a geotechnical engineer. Anybody have any idea what that means? Geo, what's geo mean?
Like Earth.
Earth, exactly. Geotechnical. What we do as geotechnical engineers is we analyze soil and rock, and we determine the best ways to build on and with them. I work on buildings, bridges, roads, parking lots, landslides, well pads. A general project as a geotechnical engineer starts with the meeting with the client and finding out exactly what information he needs for the design of whatever his structure is. We then put together a proposal to do some test borings. Has anybody ever seen a test boring rig besides you? Basically, they go around. In fact, they had test borings drilled for this building. I didn't work on this, but they come in, and what they do is they take samples of the soil and rock below. And with those samples, you analyze them to determine how strong they are, how weak they are. Are they going to consolidate? Are they good for bearing for the building? Then we write a report with all that information in it, and that goes to a structural engineer, another civil engineer. He then designs the physical foundations and the structures for the building. After we send our report out, we often meet with the design team, which includes the architect, the structural engineer, the owner, to determine exactly what they want to do and how our report impacts what they're designing. After the design's done, as I mentioned before, we're often asked to go out and inspect the work, make sure that the footings are done right, make sure that the big fill embankments they built are done properly. And when that's all done, the building's done, then our job's done on that project. Because of what I explained to you how our project works, I spend a lot of time in the field, I spend a lot of time in the office. Sometimes I wear jeans and boots to work. Other times I wear this. I actually put the tie on today because I have to go to a meeting after I'm done today and I have to put a sport coat on. Sometimes I actually have to change in the car. I'll have jeans on and I have to go someplace or vice versa. I may be in a meeting and then I have to run out in the field, so sometimes you find a place, a restroom somewhere, and change your clothes while you're going from one site to the other. Typical day for me, I leave the office around 6:30, 6:45. I probably get home 5:30, between 5 and 5:30. So I'm working 9 to 10 hours a day. Some of the local projects that I've worked on in this area, I'm sure a lot of people have driven by the Cool Springs Golf Center or live by the Cool Springs Golf Center. Maybe working at the Cool Springs Golf Center. Everybody know where that's at? They've done a lot of work out there since then. Recently I worked on renovations of the Mount Lebanon High School baseball field. Worked on a big retaining wall down on McLaughlin Run Road for the Upper St. Clair Municipal Building. Anybody knows where that's at? Next to the high school, that big wall they built there.
Police station?
Pardon me?
Near like the Upper St. Clair Police Station?
It's just past the police station on the other side, that big wall they did. What happened there is they had a wood crib wall that was failing, and they were afraid they were going to lose the parking lot. And because they have all their salt crews and their plows up there, they were concerned that if that wall fell over, all the material behind it they wouldn't be able to get their material in and out of the building and their equipment. So they had to replace that with a new retaining wall. Also did some work on the Mount Lebanon golf course. What would be some of the things you would like an employee to offer if you were looking for a job? What are some of the things you think about besides the obvious thing of salary, money?
Retirement plan.
Retirement plans? What else?
Job security.
Job security, absolutely.
Benefits.
What kind of benefits?
Like health.
Absolutely. People don't think about that, but medical benefits are extremely expensive if you have to pay for them on your own. What else? Yes?
Company cars?
Company vehicles?
Maybe even like legal protection if something goes wrong.
Yeah. All those things are important. That's what you have to think about when you go to an interview. That's why Gateway makes it a point to do 2 interviews, not just 1, because we want to make sure that everybody understands exactly what they're getting. A salary or a wage is one thing, but if you start working in all those other things you talk about, the benefits are extremely important. A lot of companies pick up a small percentage of it. The company I work for, Gateway, picks up a large percentage of it. We still pay some money, but not compared to what other people have to pay. Gateway also has a bonus program. Every 6 months, all employees get a bonus. What do you think the bonus is based on? Performance, absolutely. That's the first thing. What else?
How many hours you work?
Yes. How about how you work with others? That's an important thing because very few engineering jobs do you just work by yourself. There are individual consultants that work just out of their house or a small office, but generally with bigger companies you're working with other people so that you may have one task, you may have a second task, you may have a third task, and I may be the project manager and I have to sit down with all 3 of you to bring this all together so that we give our client the product that he wants. So you have to be able to work well with others. You may not understand or need a piece of information from this individual, but if you don't ask him for it, you don't have it, so you can't finish yours. So you have to be able to work well with others. The other thing the bonuses are based on are the individual's professionalism, punctuality. Do you show up for work on time? Do you get your work done? Do you respect others? How are you around the office? Do you walk around moping and keeping your head down all the time, or do you say hi to people as they walk by? That's all important. That's all things that you can work on that is not related to being an engineer. You can do that doing whatever you want to do. Make sure you're proactive. You communicate with people properly so they know what you're doing. The other thing that I do know that has been an issue with the younger engineers at our office is constant texting. When you come to work, you're coming to work to actually do work. You're not coming to work to talk to your friends all the time. So if you do text, limit it to certain times of the day, and don't let people, your supervisor, do not do it all day because your supervisors will find out. They may not see you there, but other people do, and it gets around, so you want to make sure that you're giving your company the effort that you should. What is rewarding to me on a project? 2 things. First, do I satisfy my client? Do I give them what they need? Do I do it on time and within budget? And the second thing, I really enjoy mentoring young engineers. I have 3 other engineers younger than me that I am working on to develop so that they can do my work when I decide I want to retire in 10 or 15 years. Outlook for the future. What has been the real large, important boom that you've heard about in the economy around here in the last 5 years?
Natural gas.
Natural gas, Marcellus Shale, absolutely. We do a lot of work on natural gas projects in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio. So the outlook on the future, because of that, there's always going to be a need for engineers in this area for the next 20 or 30 years. They're projecting this work right now to be at least 50 years in duration before they can develop everything around here. A couple pieces of advice that I would recommend if you choose you want to be an engineer or choose engineering as a career. First, find something you like to do. It's something you're going to do for the rest of your life. I've been doing this for 32 years. That's a long time. I don't get up in the morning saying, gee, I got to go to work today. I don't get up in the morning and say, yay, I get to go to work today, but I get up saying, okay, I got stuff I can do. I like doing what I do. I know there have been people in our office that did not like doing what they did. And in a matter of a couple years, you realize that your productivity goes down. So you either leave because you want to try to find something better to do, or your employee says, you know, we're not happy with what you're doing. Sorry, go find another job. Ask questions. No such thing as a dumb question. There is one dumb question, the one you don't ask. If you're not sure about something, excuse me, can you explain this, or why do you want me to do that? Because if you don't understand what you're doing, you can't do it right. So you're not going to be happy because you don't do it right. Your employer is not going to be happy. Your supervisor is not going to be happy if you don't do it right. And going along with asking questions, listen to the answers. Okay? Generally, if your supervisor is responsible and you ask a question, he's going to make sure when you're done that you understand what he's saying. So he doesn't have to do it 2 and 3 and 4 times. Also, be open-minded. When you come out of college, you know what the books say, but you have no idea what you're getting into. When I got into engineering, I had no idea what I was doing. But with proper supervision, when your supervisor is giving you the work, knowing you can do it, then if you do it and be open-minded, you'll learn more and you'll be able to do more as we go down, as you get more advanced into your careers. Any questions at this point in time? I have more I can say, but I want to leave this open for some questions right now.
Can you touch a little on, if you're able to, the 5 different areas of engineering that you talked about?
Yes.
How do the work environments differ? Because when I think of an engineer, I do think more, sitting behind a desk and thinking about things. But your type of engineering sounds very different
Right.
from my thought on what an engineer does.
Right.
So, like, between, the chemical and the
Okay.
civil.
Well, I talked about the civil already. The electrical engineers design the systems for your air conditioning, your heating, cars, machines. Did you hit them? Okay, that's okay. Chemical engineers. It used to be that most of the chemical engineers worked down in the southwest, southeast, and southwest, where the oil was. Now the oil's being developed here. So the chemical engineers use the processes to get the oil out of the ground, to refine it, to get it to different places, because with the oils and gases that come out right now, there are wet gases and there are dry gases. The dry gas is strictly the gas that they take to the plants, but the wet gases includes the ethanes, xylenes, the enes and anes they call them. And they have to be separated out so that they can be taken to different, they're used for different reasons, so they have to be separated out. Industrial engineers, they get more involved with systems and processes. What flow patterns work for kids coming out of school? How big do elevators have to be? That kind of stuff. Mechanical, that's just strictly the mechanics. What is necessary to make the machines work? Gear ratios and stuff like that.
Would you say that in engineering do require the, change of clothes, the one day you're in the office, one day you're in the field type of work?
I would say civil is the most.
Okay.
And even within civil, for instance, structural engineers probably spend more time in the office because they have to design everything, as opposed to geotechnical, where I'm probably out in the field half the time. Yes?
Which engineering field probably requires the most intense schooling?
I don't think there really is one. There may be specific disciplines that involve the most schooling, but as I said before, all college does is teach you how to think. They want to make sure that when you come out of there, you can not necessarily answer all the questions, but can find all the answers to the questions. The first week in School of Engineering, we went in, and it's the scare tactic. The professor brings all the students that are in there for engineering in and says, look to your left, look to your right. 2 of the 3 of you aren't going to be here in 4 years. That's kind of what they say, because they will hit you hard in your first year to make sure you understand the basics of the math and the science, the physics, the chemistry. I don't know what all the specifics are now, the calculus, stuff like that, because they want to make sure that you are mentally capable of understanding what you would have to do after your first year. So none of them are any more difficult, I don't think, in starting out. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions? Yes?
Are you like operating with like heavy machinery and stuff?
I do not operate heavy machinery. I work around it.
So like you don't have to have your CDL?
No.
Stuff like that?
No. Next question. Civil engineering is a lot of hands-on work. So we look for potential employees who are not afraid to go out and get dirty, so to speak. We found that the Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia are generally local kids who are used to working hard, as opposed to a CMU graduate, an MIT graduate, who were probably better fitted to go to a large company and develop things. Most of our work is short-term, relatively speaking. We don't have 2-year research projects. So our job is to get our work done as quickly and as efficiently as we can and make sure we give the client what they're looking for. Yes?
You said computer engineering is, or not computer engineering, but computer programming is a big part of engineering today. Do you use any specific languages, or what languages you suggest to look into?
Good question. Computers are big today. Computer programming, not as much. I don't program a computer. I never had a computer on my desk until 10 years ago. And basically, I don't write programs. I use canned programs where I plug in certain parameters from the soils, and they give me the information that I'm looking for, how much settlement I have, how much bearing capacity can something have. So I don't really write the programs. You get into, there are computer engineers now. Because of the changes in technologies, there are always different disciplines or different branches of engineering coming up. Computer is one, where people actually design things, work with the hardware people to develop computers that do what they need them to do. Any other questions?
Are there opportunities within companies offering to go back for your master's?
Absolutely. That was
Does that open up any other doors for you?
very good question. A lot of companies, engineering mechanics, where I started at, paid all my tuition to go back to college, provided I got a B grade or better on all my classes. Because what that does is that gives you more credibility on your resume when you're trying to sell your services, your company's services, to a client. Gateway does the same thing.